All right, we are at the semifinal stage in Indian Wells, and Carlitos Alcaraz is still saying, who's going to beat me? He's still on track for 3 in a row, but he's playing Jack Draper next, who is looking absolutely dialed in on this slower, grittier Indian Wells hard courts. So we're going to talk about that, the fact that the courts aren't really that different, at least center court from previous years. We're going to break down the Rune versus Daniil Medvedev semifinal as well. Look at how all 4 of these guys got here and break it down. This is the slice presented by Betway. Let's get into it. Right, welcome back to the channel, everybody. If you're new here, welcome back, or welcome to the slice. Thanks for subscribing if you haven't yet. It makes you a better tennis fan, and whoever you cheer for has a better chance of winning if you subscribe. Weird phenomenon, I know. I don't make the rules, but thanks for being here. We're near the end of the tournament. We're near the end of Indian Wells, and these longer format Masters 1000s can sometimes feel like a bit of a grind. I like that for a longer time you can tune in and there's going to be tennis on, but I'm still not convinced that the longer format of the Masters 1000s is better, because to me it just takes the good matches and dilutes them, and you kind of get more filler matches. And a lot of even the best matches, the most dramatic matches that we've seen in this year's Indian Wells are kind of grindy, and like some of the matches we'll look at today had like twice as many unforced errors as winners. So it's just not the typical type of tennis that you see, I would say, on the ATP tour on a hard court, but it's a bit more of a battle of attrition. It seems like Indian Wells is this year, at least, especially with some of the wind and the rain they've had. But we've ended up with a really quality semifinal setup with 2 amazing matchups: Holger Rune versus Daniil Medvedev, and Jack Draper versus Carlitos Alcaraz. So before we get into see how they got here, shout out to Betway. The slice is presented by Betway. If you're going to bet on tennis responsibly and within your limit, use Betway. They've got a great platform, and we will be in Miami with Betway next week. I'm flying out in a couple days, and I'm so excited to be down there in the sun, in the tennis quicker courts, and see any of you who are down in Miami. So if you see us there on the grounds, JP and I, come say hi. We are excited to get in the mix, thanks to Betway. So, okay, let's get into it. So how did we get here? Maybe let's just look at the draw a little bit. Because yeah, it's been an interesting week, like I said, and the 4 best players of the week are clearly here. And I think you saw these 4 guys coming from a ways off, but it's been interesting. So Holger Rune beats Griekspoor in the quarterfinals today. The 6-0, 6-3 to finish it off. And before that, Holger had gone through Tsitsipas, who has been playing great tennis, obviously. But on these courts, the young Dane was the better, and he looked like he had the advantage the whole match because he was stronger. He's stronger from the ground, played mature tennis, played within himself, but battled. And he said that in that Tsitsipas match, he stayed up on the baseline, didn't let Tsitsipas take the game to him, and executed a game plan that he had obviously thought about before the match and was pretty happy with the way he played. So Holger Rune is one of those guys who can, I think you need a lot of strength on this court to be effective. And he obviously has that. He's got those big, strong legs, and got through Tsitsipas there, gets through Griekspoor, and to play Medvedev. Medvedev came through Tommy Paul. That was a pretty dominant match after big rain delays. And then Medvedev came through today versus Arthur Fils. So let's talk about that match quickly, because this is how it ended. Daniil Medvedev doing the happy dance, and that was actually great to see, obviously, because a lot of people have been saying, and some of his post-match press, you've seen this, he looks deflated sometimes. He looks checked out of tennis. People wonder if he still cares. I think that reaction after match point shows that he does still care, and that was just awesome to see. Just he was like happier there winning the quarterfinal match at Indian Wells than he was when he won the US Open, when he did the dead fish. Hilarious. Daniil Medvedev, one of the best watches in the sport. Definitely the best interviewer, if you're asking me. But he comes through Arthur Fils, and this was a match where I'm talking about where it was grindy for sure, and it makes sense because that's what Daniil Medvedev does to people. He grinds them down, makes them hate their life. But Arthur Fils is another one of those body types that just can handle this type of condition super well, super strong through the court, super strong through his legs. And got it and made it, took it to a third set tiebreaker and really made Medvedev work for it. If you look at the stats, Medvedev really just not getting that much on his serve. So 5 aces, first serve 61% in, only winning 63% of the first serves. Like just super weird, super not normal stats for him or for any top players on the ATP tour. 74% won on his second serve. So he's winning more points as a percentage on his second serve than his first serve. He was broken 4 times. He broke Feast only 3 times, which is interesting, but generated 11 points. But if you go to the winners to unforced errors, 17 winners for Medvedev, 30 unforced errors, and 26 winners for Arthur Fils, and 52 unforced errors. So really hard to get the ball through this court, but there's lots of ways. Obviously you got to win the points a different way, and Feast heavy balls on both sides, forehand, backhand, topspin, and just heavy because he uses the ground to come up the back of the ball, get the ball down, move his opponent, and work the point to finish it. But yeah, he goes for a lot. He misses, a lot of errors, a lot of great shots that moved that Medvedev out of the way. But yeah, Medvedev stays strong, able to come through that one. So that was obviously big for the big Russian. So he comes through to play Holger Rune. So their head-to-head is 2-1. Medvedev leading that head-to-head 2-1. That's going to be an interesting match. To me, it's going to be very tactically interesting to see how Medvedev defends against Rune and makes him kind of hides the weaknesses in that might get exposed on this surface. So Runa's going to be trying to play the same way he did against Tsitsipas, play aggressive, but play within himself and kind of control the middle of the court. And it's going to be interesting to see how Medvedev kind of defends against getting pushed around from the baseline by Runa. If Runa's on it. If he's not, then I think Runa's going to miss a lot, and Medvedev's going to make him miss and make him pay for it. And it could be advantage Medvedev, but I think a lot's going to depend on how Runa comes out and plays in that matchup, because he's got a pretty similar game to, or at least the shot style to Arthur Fils. So that could be interesting. That could be super grindy. Runa versus Medvedev. So we will keep an eye on that. But really the marquee matchup of the semifinals on the men's, at least, we'll get to the women's here. Jack Draper versus Carlos Alcaraz. These guys are both playing great. Jack Draper, especially, to be honest. So Draper is into I believe, his first semifinals of a Masters 1000 here, and he beat Ben Shelton on the way here and was looking very good. Takes out Ben Shelton in 2 sets, was down a break in the second set, came back and got it done. Serve rating 305, 72% first serve in, 67% second first serve points won, 74% second serve points won. So again, winning more second serve points. The kick serves on this court just do insane damage because they kick up so high. It's a great way to start the point if you're serving. He got broken once on one break point, but like I said, got it back. This was the key for him, though. Probably the only clean performance in this whole quarterfinal set. 20 winners, 9 unforced errors for Jack Draper. It is incredible to hit 9 unforced errors if you're a player the caliber of Jack Draper, because he's got a massive game and he has huge weapons, and you got to use your weapons when you're playing. And to only hit 9 unforced errors in 2 sets is unbelievable. So Jack Draper does seem locked in, and if he was going to give Alcaraz an issue at Indian Wells, it would be playing that type of tennis, playing locked in and not letting Alcaraz figure out a way like he did today against Cerundolo, where Alcaraz maybe had his like C+ game, but he's still able to beat Cerundolo in 2 sets, I believe. Yeah, 6-3, 7-4. The tiebreaker was not great from Cerundolo, but the entire match, from what I saw, was not awesome by Alcaraz either. Just grindy again, but did save 8 out of 9 break points, but faced 3 times as many break points as Cerundolo did, which is hilarious, and wins in 2 sets. The return rating from Cerundolo, 85, very low. Winners, 22 winners, 9 unforced errors for Alcaraz apparently as well. So Alcaraz and Draper are the 2 players who they both hit 9 unforced errors. I'm now wondering if there's a bit of a glitch on the ATP website. 22 and 9. Let's look at this. 20 and 9. So both guys, Alcaraz and Draper, both only made 9 unforced errors in their quarterfinal matches. So that's pretty amazing that they're going to now play in the semifinals. But it's still, from the eye test, didn't look like Alcaraz was playing at his top level. And I think he's just in general got way too much sauce on these courts for Cerundolo. With the gritty court, with the high bouncing court, the Alcaraz heaviness on his forehand does so much damage, obviously. But coming back, it feels like the ball's just always in front of him. It's so slow that he's playing at like 3/4 pace, and he's able to just wait and do what he wants with the ball. I think it'll be a bit of a different issue against Jack Draper because Jack's got more pop, more power than Cerundolo, a bigger serve, and more confidence right now, I would say, for sure. So that's going to be a great matchup. Jack Draper, Carlos Alcaraz, they're head-to-head. If we pull it up on the screen here, 3-1. Draper has beaten him in 2024 in Queens on the grass. He beat him. 2 of the matches that Alcaraz has won against Draper. Draper's retired. They did play in Basel in 2022 tournament I was at with Carlos winning. So Carlos is the favorite, but Jack Draper's playing great tennis and will not be taken lightly by Alcaraz. Alcaraz, after his match today, wrote on the camera, "Should I buy a house here?" I love a little cocky, a little confidence inducing. He hasn't lost at Indian Wells since 2022, and he is going for his 3rd title in a row. Can anyone stop him? That's the question. Can Draper stop him? Then can Holger Rune or Daniil Medvedev stop him? That's going to be the question on the men's side of the event. Alcaraz is the man to beat. Will anyone do it? On the women's side, it is an amazing Australian Open final rematch of Sabalenka versus Madison Keys. And then you got on the bottom, you've got Mira Andreeva, the teenager, versus Iga Swiatek. So amazing semifinals on the women's side of things as well. In the quarterfinals, Sabalenka came through Samsonova 6-2, 6-3. Keys destroyed Bencic, the wild card, the new mother. Amazing story. 6-1, 6-1, double breadstick. Mira Andreeva beat Svitolina 7-5, 6-3. And Iga Swiatek beat Qinwen Zhang 6-3, 6-3. So all 2-set matches on the women's side there. Maybe not as grindy on the women's. Maybe they have more power. I don't know. But great set of semifinals on both sides. Who's going to do it? We'll have to wait and see. Before the finals go down, I will be en route to Miami. So stay tuned for the coverage that we're going to put out here. But mainly, we will be putting out a ton of content next week in Miami. So follow at the Slice Tennis on Instagram, Twitter, and stay tuned, obviously, here on YouTube for all your content coverage needs in Miami. We'll see you guys soon. Thanks for being here. See you next time.